There's definitely such thing as a toxic manager. If you are not doing that, you're not doing your job as a manager. They should know when to shut up. One of the most important traits of a good manager is Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Serap. I'm a user experience researcher and I am a former UX manager. Today, I'm going to talk about good managers versus bad managers. I hope you only encountered good managers throughout your professional life, but unfortunately, there are more bad managers than good managers. Well, actually, I don't have data to support that, so I should say it's my perception that there are more bad managers than good managers. And I think there are two major reasons for this. One, in a lot of companies, being a manager is the next step for career growth. So if someone is doing well, the next thing that they get to be is a manager, to be promoted, regardless of whether they have the aptitude for being a manager or not. Two, lack of training and accountability. I had a seriously problematic manager. I had an amazing manager or two, and I also had managers somewhere in between. I was a manager myself, and I should let my previous reports to be the judge of that, but I tried to be a good manager. I'm going to explain why I think that towards the end of this video. Before I start talking about the traits that make a manager a good or bad manager, I should mention that most managers we perceive as bad probably are not all that bad. These managers might have traits that we appreciate. There's a lot of space in between the very worst and the very best. So these managers probably have some traits that you appreciate. So maybe instead of stamping managers as good or bad, we should list the traits that are good and traits that are bad. That being said though, there's definitely such thing as a toxic manager, and I had one. I know from experience. So let's start with that. What is a toxic manager? What makes them toxic? The answer is not a single thing. There is a list of things bad managers have in common, but toxic managers make your life miserable. They make you anxious. You are nervous about going to work, being around them. They might yell, swear, insult you in front of others or when you're alone with them. They criticize everything you do. They never give you good, constructive feedback. They never tell you what you do right. They turn everything you might say, even if it's not about work, and turn it against you. They are looking for ways to put you down. They never try to improve you. They never give you feedback in a timely manner, but they tell you that you're doing a really bad job doing the performance evaluation, not giving you a chance to improve yourself so that you're not getting a bad evaluation. These people don't document their feedback. They don't find that they need to prove their feedback for you. If it's a negative feedback, they don't care if there is evidence to prove what they are saying or not, and they stick with it. They can't stand being criticized. What they care about is looking good themselves, and they don't care about their reports. They pit their reports to each other, and they compare them to each other constantly. They don't do it to give an example to improve someone. For example, there's nothing wrong with your manager telling you so-and-so person is good at so-and-so tasks. Why don't we talk to that person and see if there are things that they can help you with, or if they can teach you the skill? There's nothing wrong with that, but it is wrong to say that you suck, but that person is doing better than you, so why can't you be more like them? They either micromanage you to death, or they just let you go and don't give you any kind of help whatsoever. If you have a manager and you ask for help, they criticize you for not knowing that thing that you ask help with. They might help you in the end, but they do this grudgingly and they make you feel bad about it. When you don't ask for help, then they criticize you for not asking for help. So there is no pleasing them. The ones who are hands-off also just dismiss you. They give you unhelpful advice. If you are reporting to someone like this, the best thing to do is to leave and find another team, find another manager if you can. I know that this is not always possible. I wish you luck with dealing with that, but I don't think there is much that can be done for these people. So before you leave, I highly recommend that you report this manager's behavior to the HR department. Not because the HR department is going to necessarily help you. The reason I'm saying report it is to make sure that there is a record of that toxic manager's behavior, so that if someone else also complains, they look at it and see a history of bad behavior, and there is a likelihood of that person being either disciplined or sent away. So reporting is important because of that. But my friends and colleagues that I've heard from who had reached out to an HR person for help for these kind of situations didn't get the help they needed. They ended up feeling like they were the ones to blame for the problems that they were experiencing. And I'm talking about big companies. That kind of HR behavior is common from what I hear. If any of you out there watching this video work in HR and have experience with these kind of complaints, please comment below and let us know what actually happens. I've never experienced anything bad with HR, but I did not complain about my toxic manager either. That was my mistake. I should have, but I didn't. What are some of the bad traits that a manager can have? So micromanaging. Micromanaging stems from a few things. One of them is not trusting your employee. The other one is trying to ensure that your employee does a task the way that you would do. But it is important to understand that there are more than one way of doing something, and you need to be open to that. Not trusting the employees and their expertise. That is a bad trait that managers should, especially when you don't know them very well, give them a chance to prove themselves. And you might learn that they need more help, and that's okay. This is not something negative for the employee, but you need to let them show what they have. Another bad trait is not trying to find opportunities for your employees to improve themselves. Not understanding what their career goals are, or not caring about what their career goals are and not doing anything about it. Not giving feedback in a timely manner is another bad trait. Feedback should be given constantly, not in a way of constant criticism, but at the appropriate times you should give the employee feedback about what they're doing well and what they can improve on. And the feedback that you give has to be constructive. You can't just criticize someone and leave it at that. There has to be a good way of giving an example of the behavior, what it might cause, and what are the ways that this person can go and improve themselves. Not being able to give constructive feedback is another bad trait. Another trait, a bad trait, is not giving your employees a safe environment for failure. Your employees shouldn't be afraid of failure. Failure is extremely important for improvement and learning. And if you are not giving them the space, if you're not making them feel safe, you're not doing a very good job. Not caring about your employees' work, not knowing who their stakeholders are, who they are working with, is not very good. Getting defensive when you hear constructive criticism about yourself, how you conduct yourself. Being defensive is not productive, and it prevents people from giving you feedback that you need to improve yourself, because you're not perfect. You're not even close to being perfect. You should not kill people's desire and willingness to give you feedback. Finally, what I'm going to mention is talking too much. I've had wonderful managers who talked too much. So talking too much is a bad trait, especially during one-on-ones. One-on-ones are for your reports to come to you and talk to you, tell their story, their projects, what they want to discuss. So you should not dominate one-on-ones with your own talking. Displaying one or two of the bad traits doesn't necessarily mean that a manager is bad. It just means that they have areas of improvement. It's important to understand them, and we can maybe label someone as a bad manager if they have these bad traits and they're not even aware of them, or they're not open to improving them or open to feedback. Okay, now that we talked about the bad traits, let's talk about the good traits. Okay, so first of all, a good manager supports their reports. As a good manager, you trust your employees, trust their judgment, and give them opportunities. Trust their expertise and let them show you what they can do. A good manager understands that there is not a single way of doing something, and let people be creative and come up with their own solutions. Good managers wouldn't hold their reports' failures against them. They would encourage them to use their failures as an opportunity for learning. A good manager asks for feedback about themselves and provide their reports opportunities to give feedback face-to-face, but also anonymously, so people can do that properly without feeling fear. A good manager is aware of their shortcomings and are not afraid to talk about them in front of others, especially in front of their employees. That shows that you're a human, but also shows that you are willing to admit your failures or your shortcomings and are willing to work on them to improve them. A good manager understands their report's career aspirations and finds opportunities so that their reports can accomplish their goals. Let's say they want to learn a specific type of skill that they might not have, or they want to do a project that has a potential of impacting a larger area. It is your responsibility to find them the opportunities that will allow them to accomplish these goals. Understand specifically what they need to be doing in order to get promoted. A good manager documents their feedback and shares it with their reports. Both positive and constructive feedback should be documented properly. And when you document it, share it with your reports so that if there is anything that they don't agree with, they can write back to you and discuss this with you. So then everything is on the record. And this is handy both for people who want to get promoted and deserve to be promoted, and those who may not be performing well need your support, or they might not be happy about a bad performance evaluation. For example, if you documented everything, you have evidence to share with your report, but also at the HR departments who might ask for it. Give people feedback in a timely manner. Don't let them find out that they are failing at a time where they cannot do anything about it. Your report of yours shouldn't hear that they are not doing good during the performance evaluation. They should have a lot of chances of course correcting prior to the evaluation time. If you're not doing that, you're not doing your job as a manager. Maybe I should have mentioned this as the first thing, but one of the most important traits of a good manager is valuing their employees as human beings and giving them support and putting them ahead of everything else, because human beings are more important. Their health, their families comes before work. And if you understand this, you're gonna give them the support that they need. They will trust you, and they're not going to take advantage of it. If they are the type of people who are going to take advantage of it, you will know anyway, and there will be other problems with those people anyway. Improve yourself and your management skills. Don't think that you've reached at an asymptotic plateau. There is always more to learn. There is always more to do. As a manager, you need to know how to coach people. And for that, you need to read and learn. Finally, a good manager knows how to listen. they should know when to shut up. I know there are many more things out there, but I've talked about some of the most important traits. I tried my best to be a good manager. I wasn't a perfect manager, of course, but I did try my best. I read a lot of management books that I'm going to link in the description if you're interested. You need to understand that as a manager, your job is to support your people and make them successful. Their success is your success. What I tried to do was to be really aware of my capabilities and where I needed improvement. I'm sure that I wasn't aware of everything, but I will give you an example. I talked too much initially when I first became a manager. I talked too much in the meetings. When I noticed this, I told my reports that, okay, I'm talking too much. Please tell me to stop talking if you notice that I'm rambling. And I tried to be more intentional about not talking. Even when I had things to say, I judged, is this really something that I have to hear right now? Or is it more important for me to hear them out? There was another thing that I was aware of. Instead of coaching people when they came to me with problems, I noticed that I was trying to come up with solutions to their problems, and that's not a good manager should do. A good manager should coach their employees, and that requires them to ask them a lot of questions, actively listening and trying to cultivate a response or a solution from the employee themselves. And that's an important skill. And by the time I quit, I still hadn't become really, really good at that. But I was aware and I was working on it. One of my reports was going on a maternity leave, and they said they didn't think they can go for promotion, but I knew that their work was at the next level already, and if they left, when they got back, it would take maybe another 1 year or 2 years before they're able to get promoted. So without them knowing, I nominated them for promotion and I presented their case and work, and they got promoted. And when I told this to my report, that smile on their face was so worth it. Another report of mine just before I left wasn't gonna go for promotion, and I said, just go for it. You don't lose anything. The worst thing happens that you don't get it, and there is a big likelihood that you're not gonna get it because of the budget limitations, but at least you will get feedback and you will know what to work on next time around. They went for it and they got promoted. So that was also amazing, but there was still a lot that I had to learn. Anyway, I hope this was useful to someone out there. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. And please don't forget to subscribe. Bye.